Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to ask everybody who is in the congregation to turn to page 652. We're going to begin with a song this evening. We're going to end with the same song, different than what David just played. And this is a song by Israeli Arik Einstein. Surprisingly, David didn't know this song. Maybe you will, and I ask you to join with us. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata az yavoku v'kulam. Amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo mishaneh. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata ninaseh mechatchala. Ein davar ze lo nora. Amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo mishaneh. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata az yavoku v'kulam. Amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo mishaneh. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Et ha'olam. Shabbat Shalom. We'll sing that again. Raise your hand if you knew that song. Really? I see one hand. Hopefully there are people watching at home who know that song. We sang it at camp, at least in the late 80s and the early 90s. Maybe either we just didn't catch people in that. So as we welcome in Shabbat, we turn to our candle blessings. If you are at home, you may take out those candles so that we can light together. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. All right. As we welcome in the light and the warmth of Shabbat, we join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And if you are at home and you have wine, you'll take up your wine. And there was and I ask everybody to please rise. And there was evening, and there was morning the sixth day. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. And we join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho. Shabbat together, l'chaim, to life. You may be seated. I first just want to say that I believe that the candles lit quickly this evening. Thank you, Art, who always says we seem to struggle with the lighter. And I told him he shared something, and then he said, what will we give God when it works? What will our thank you offering be? And I said, a goat, of course. So perhaps God heard my offering, so I guess later on I'll have to figure out how to offer but not offer that goat offering. So today, I received an email with the subject, the most anti-Semitic thing to ever happen to me and you. And it had me thinking, what is the most anti-Semitic thing that has ever happened to me? And admittedly, all day, I've been scrolling in my mind through the different things that I have experienced. And the one thing that comes to mind actually didn't happen to me, but was one of a number of things that happened to Joe during high school. And specifically, it was a fight that almost became physical at a high school baseball game between him and a teammate, because the teammate was making comments about Jews, making Holocaust jokes, as their team, Parkway West, was getting ready to play Parkway Central. Joe asked this teammate to stop. The teammate did not. And it began to get louder, and Joe, being Joe, got in his face. The other teammates quickly jumped in and stopped it from getting physical. He told us about this, and when we asked him why he didn't tell a coach, he said, what would they have done? Nothing ever gets done. That statement speaks volumes. And sadly, I think he's right. As often, nothing ever gets done. How many of you know about the Algerian and Sudanese athletes who chose to forfeit their matches at the Olympics this week because they refused to engage with Israeli athletes? Nope, the news isn't saying much about this, and yet it is anti-Semitism. And I recognize that there are people who will say, no, it's not anti-Semitism. They're just protesting the Israeli government and what the government does. If athletes aren't engaging with Israeli athletes because of their government, and yet they're willing to engage with athletes from China, from Iran, from Syria, it's not about a government and human rights. How many of you know about the swastika found at the State Department this week? It was condemned by President Biden, but I haven't really seen it on the news. I actually learned about it in an email, and Lee learned about it from a tweet from a former State Department official. Where's the news media? Today, President Biden announced his pick for the State Department's special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism. His pick is Deborah Lipstadt, a historian and professor at Emory University. What is this position? It's basically like an ambassadorship, and this person works with the US government in foreign relations to help fight global anti-Semitism. And in case you didn't know, under the Global Anti-Semitism Review Act of 2004, which is a US law, the Secretary of State is required by law to appoint this special envoy. Often, The work that this envoy does is utilizing the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's, the IHRA, working definition of anti-Semitism. That working definition is: anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property, toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. Interestingly, a few weeks ago in Newsweek, there was an op-ed by Eli Kohanim, a former U.S. Deputy Special Envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism. They call it SEAS, S-E-A-S, because it's a mouthful otherwise. She made the case that in addition to this special envoy who works in our foreign office, that it's time for us to have a domestic anti-Semitism SAR to deal with the rise of anti-Semitism in our country. She said that we need a domestic diplomat to do this work at home, utilizing the IHRA's working definition of anti-Semitism. You might be asking yourself, what's the work that needs to be done? First and foremost, anti-Semitism, couched as anti-Zionism, is alive and well on university campuses, where many Jewish students are intimidated and harassed by anti-Semitic campus groups, and too often many campus administrators take little action, or they justify the hostile environment as something that is protected under the First Amendment. Again, how many of you have heard the very recent call for Rutgers University to defund Hillel? Yes, there has been a call to defund Hillel. A student group has called for the university to defund Hillel because of International Hillel's stance on Israel. If you have ever been a part of Hillel or a Hillel, Israel is a tiny, tiny piece of what Hillel even does. Hillel is so often the central address for Jewish life on a college campus. It is where students go for religious services, some go for kosher food, they go for programming, and many go because it feels like a safe space to hang out and be with other Jews. And while I don't think that this group will get very far, and most universities, I guess they didn't realize, don't actually fund Hillels, as Hillels are funded by the alumni, they are funded by community members and student families. Universities do often support Hillel in the sense that they look to Hillel to provide something that they are not, which is religious life on the campus. Even though I don't think that they will get very far, this is still a very dangerous precedent. This is a prime case of anti-Zionism being anti-Semitic. This isn't about the Israeli government this is about getting a Jewish organization that supports Jews off of campus. In this week's Torah portion, Ekev, Moses continues to recount the history of the Israelites from their departure from Egypt to the moment in which they are standing, ready to enter the land and ready to establish themselves. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 12 through 13, Moses states, "And now, O Israel, what does God demand of you? Only this, to revere God, to walk only in God's path, to love God, and to serve God with all your heart and your soul, keeping God's commandments and laws, which I enjoin upon you today for good. As I read these words, I am reminded of the prophet Micah of Micha, whose words adorned the sanctuary of my synagogue growing up. What does God require of you? To do justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly with God. Thinking back on that question of anti-Semitic incidences in my life, I can remember these words in front of me as I sat with non-Jewish classmates at Friends B'nai Mitzvah and hearing them nicely tell me that I and the friend leading services were going to hell because we were Jews and didn't believe in Jesus. They said it really nicely. Luckily, we had a fantastic religious school teacher who gave us all sorts of fun retorts to that comment we heard so often, like, "Great, I'll easily be able to find a Jew to marry and make my parents happy," or something weird like that. Did we actually ever give that funny retort? I don't think I did, and likely my classmates didn't either. Instead, what did we do? We shrugged it off. And today, how many of us still shrug it off? Unfortunately, Jewish hate has become normalized in the United States in new, insidious ways. And I think it's going to start getting worse unless we stop shrugging it off and we do something and work together. In June, our United Hebrew Board of Trustees voted for UH to become the first synagogue in Missouri to join with the AJC, the American Jewish Committee, and adopt the IHRA's working definition of anti-Semitism. The United States, via the United Nations, adopted this working definition in December of 2019, and St. Louis County, this past spring, became the fourth county of now 5 in the United States to adopt this working definition. Imagine if we got others to adopt this definition, not just Jewish organizations, but our local and state governments. This working definition could be used as a starting point for what anti-Semitism is, and help cut through the excuse of First Amendment rights. I think folks forget that the First Amendment isn't only about free speech, it's also about the freedom of religion. Hill taught, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when?" Jews have been in America since 1654. We've been here through the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and we've worked really well at the second part of Hillel's teaching, walking and working with so many on equality and freedom for all. We have worked to create a vibrant American Jewish community, and the only way that it will continue is if we focus now on the first part of his teaching. This starts now with the fight against anti-Semitism. We cannot allow it to fester and grow any further, lest young Jews decide it isn't worth it to be Jewish. Yes, our Jewish values call on us to help others. And our Jewish values understand the importance of saving one's own life and looking out for oneself, especially when no one else will. We began our service and we'll end it tonight singing Ani V'ata, which means you and I. The English translation is, you and I will change the world. You and I, then everyone else will follow. Others have said it before that they're going to do this work, but it doesn't matter because you and I will change the world. We'll try from the beginning, and it will be tough, but it's not too bad. We are certainly not the first to experience anti-Semitism, and unless we do something, we won't be the last. Let's work together. Let's do something, and let's put an end to anti-Semitism in the United States. Amen. Now we'll lift ourselves up and we'll welcome in Shabbat, because yes, even when we have to talk about difficult things, we Jews have the ability to hold to differing ideas. We can hold on to pain and hold on to difficult, and we can hold on to joy. And so we are going to welcome in Shabbat as we join together in singing Shiru Ladonai. Please join with me. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadash. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadash. And we turn in our prayer books now to page 146 as we rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, le'olam va'ed. And we turn to page 148 as we join together in Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. On page 150, we join together in the English. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated, and we'll continue together on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta bam, beshivtecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, uvshokbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot aliadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha, Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvishe'arecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiot lachem l'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, emet. Page 157. And we'll read together at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. And we join together in Mi Chamocha on page 158. Take a deep breath. Luckily, the other two are trained in music. Little known fact, I played the cello from elementary school all the way through high school, and I can play guitar, but beyond that. So, thank you, David, we figured that out. Yes. But that's why we all sing together, and why it's just so joy-filled as we sing. We turn to page 160, and luckily Donna is here as well to help sing this evening, and we'll join together with Hashkivenu, our evening prayer for peace. We turn now in our prayer books to page 164 as we rise for the Amidah. Adonai sifatai tivtachu v'yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chaste Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'Neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Page 168. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia, morid hatal, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, zomech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot umido melech. Melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata lechachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol. Page 170. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh ukdoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. And we turn in our prayer book to page 177, where we will join together in a prayer for gratitude, a prayer for thanksgiving. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. And we turn to page 179. We turn to our prayer for peace. And if you have watched any Olympics at all this week, I have to admit, in my spare time when I get home, I turn it on and just sit. I love the Olympics, but this has been a week even where there are those not so good moments, those moments of hugs, of handshakes, of people who might know each other from international competitions or who might not know each other. And even though they are competing against each other, just the joy in being together with other people. That gives me hope, and that is what I am thinking about as we join together in our prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. And we turn now in our prayer books to page 371. And at this time in our service, we think of those in our community, in our extended community, our friends, our neighbors, our loved ones, those who are in need of healing. And if you are thinking of someone who is in such need, I ask you now to rise, and those who are at home to call their name aloud and add it to our prayer this evening. We call those names aloud at this time. And we take all of those names into our hearts, and may God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we join in singing Misha Berach, our prayer for healing.
May the source of strength
take a moment for silent and personal prayer.
Without a reason why, love as if you were a child, smile no matter what they tell you, don't listen to a word they say, 'cause life is beautiful that way. Tears, a tidal wave of tears, light that slowly disappears. Wait before you close the curtain, there's still another game to play, 'cause life is beautiful that way. La 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 la. La 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 la. Here with his eyes forevermore, I will always be as close as you remember once before. Now that you're out there on your own, remember what is real and what we dream is love alone. Keep the laughter in your eyes. Soon, your long-awaited prize will forget about our sorrows and think about a brighter day, 'cause life is beautiful that way. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is David Kaiser, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees of United Hebrew Congregation. Welcome home. We are excited to celebrate Shabbat in person, and we are thrilled that you're here today. Tomorrow at UH, Torah study begins at 9 a.m., followed by Shabbat services at 10:30 a.m. At 6 p.m., we usher out Shabbat with Next Week Now Havdalah. We are excited to announce our upcoming programs during the month of Elul in August leading up to the High Holy Days. A listing of programs can be found in the High Holy Days brochure or on our website. Don't forget about our members-only sale at the UH Cemetery through September 16, where you may purchase 2 burial plots for the price of one, and UH Olive Oil fundraiser with My Tree in Israel. This is a unique program that connects you directly to an Israeli farmer by adopting an olive tree in their grove. Thank you to our greeters and ushers this evening. Please note that the gift shop is open by appointment only. You can call the office or Iris Dwoskin. Thank you to Gail and Phil Kramer for sponsoring the cookies that you may get on your way out of services tonight. Again, Shabbat Shalom.
And I want to make a quick clarification. I don't know if you get this question, Barry Krell, but all the time people ask me about our sale at the cemetery at White Road. That is not United Hebrew Cemetery. Our cemetery is in U City at Canton in North and South. So for everybody here and those who are online, it is not at White Road. It is the very beautiful cemetery that has lots of shade trees, which makes it really nice when people are standing out there when there is shade. We turn now in our prayer books to before we continue, I also want to say that I hope you will join us next Friday evening. We will be back, Cantor Eicher will be back, but more importantly, it will be our last Shabbat with Donna, as she, that next Sunday, will be returning home to Israel, and we have been so tremendously blessed this year to have Donna with us as our Shinshanit in our congregation. And to connect and do what she did in this year with COVID has just simply been amazing. And one of the ways that she really brought blessing and was able to connect was by being here on the Bima and not only sharing her words, but by sharing her beautiful voice when she sings, as you could hear. So we hope that you will join us either in person or online next Shabbat so that we can give Donna a wonderful send-off, and more importantly, so that we can be blessed to hear her beautiful voice and also hear her sing with Cantor, because I love when they sing together. So I hope you will join us. We turn now in our prayer books to page 586 for Aleinu, if you would all please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, Lateit gedula liotzer breshit, Shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, Velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, Shelo sam chelkenu kahem, Vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim, Livnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, page 591, V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz, Hayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
You may be seated. And we turn to page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This Shabbat, the heartfelt condolences of our congregation go out to the families of Mendel Rosenberg, Joan Elise Schenberg, Lawrence Larry Stemple. We are in the period of Shloshim for Elaine Breimer, Paula Ellens Fisher, Bernice Goodman, Toby Marilyn Hartman, Lee Ann Hecht, David Reuben Levy, Larry Matt Randolph, Megan Elaine Rosenberg, Leona Stein. This week, this Shabbat, we observe the Yartzeits and we lovingly remember Mert Abraham, Edwin Abrams, Hy R. Adler, Jack Baskin, Stephen Bassman, Pearl Sverren Beldner, Joseph Bohm, Harry D. Cohen, Sarah Duhov, Leona Elkins, Harry Feldman, Sam Finkelstein, Jeanette E. Fishman, Louis Friedman, Ann Gallant, Benjamin Gaylor, Abraham Abe Gersten, Helen Gadan, Morris L. Gitlin, Gilbert Goldenhirsch, Joseph Goldstein, Molly P. Goldstein, Dr. Marvin Grossman, Ruth Hacker, Thelma B. Hafner, Goldie Duhov Jackaway, Morris Keene, Matilda Barg Kramer, Belle Kunstler, Leah Levy, David Lipman, Robin Stolier Lloyd, Maurice M. Liner, Betty P. Mann, Thelma Manny, Alan Margulis, Sadie Mathis, Marky Newmark, Sonia Nodef, Anna Palins, Ida Pepper, Arlene Peterson, Lillian Plax, Abe Polinsky, Minnie Rabushka, Yetta B. Ritzlin, Norman Lewis Robertson III, Sarah L. Rosen, Bonnie Ross, Herbert Ellis Rudner, Jacob J. Sachs, Stanley J. Schindler, Charlene Schneider, Rose B. Schneider, Sophie Schnoor, Abraham Schnoor, Michael Joseph Schwartz, Sarah Siegel, William I. Seltzer, Corinne Shapiro, Ben L. Schifrin, Harry Schultz, Bernice Singer, Henrietta Spielberg, Sylvia Tischler Spiritus, Sugihara, William Billy Sussman, Erwin I. Tenenbaum, Adele Trugman, Max Tureen, Barbara Deichman-Wegman, Paula J. Weintraub, Laurie Jo Weiss, Louis Wolf, Sonia Gross-Wolf, Frank Wolkowitz, Irving Zweidel. Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories be for blessing. As we turn to page 598 and we rise for the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal ve'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Bialma Divra Hirute V'yamlich Malchute, B'chaye Chon Uvyome Chon, Uv'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala Uvizman Kariv V'imru Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Momei Omaya. Yit Barach Ve'yish Tabach Ve'yit Pa'ar Ve'yit Romam Ve'yit Naseh. Ve'yit Hadar Ve'yit Ale Ve'yit Halal Shemei Jekudasha Barichu. Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata. Tushbechata V'nechemata. Damiram Be'alma Ve'imru Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Amen. Osei Shalom Bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. And as we prepare to depart from our song to go, but a reminder that as we depart from the sanctuary, and even for those who are at home, although we all have our masks on and we still can only see half of each other's faces, a reminder to walk up to people, even if you're not sure who they are because you can't fully see them. Walk up, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, reintroduce yourself. That is what it is to be in community and to come back home. And for those online at home, please do the same when you are out and about in community, because it is together, ani ve'ata, that we create community and that we will make change and make our world better. And so we turn back to page 652 as we join together. Ani ve'ata נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה אז יבוא כבר כולם. אמרו את זה קודם, לפניי זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה ננסה מההתחלה. יהיה לנו רע, אין דבר, זה לא נורא. אמרו את זה קודם, לפניי, זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. Join us. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה אז יבוא כבר כולם. אמרו את זה קודם, לפניי, זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. את העולם. את העולם. Shabbat Shalom.